Homicide occurred at the residence of Betty Jane McClellan and Jacob Albert McClellan. What had occurred was an unknown actor approached the victim's residence, which was a trailer, came to the front door under the guise of needing some assistance with his vehicle, at which point in time he pulls out a weapon. Jacob McClellan, who's 66 years of age at the time, attempts to fight off said actor, but he's overpowered, at which point in time the actor pulls out what appears to be a semi-automatic handgun and proceeds to fire twice, striking Mr. McClellan in the neck and also in the face. Mr. McClellan then drops to the floor where he's laying. Actor then proceeds inside the residence and locates our victim for the homicide, Betty Jane McClellan, at which time we don't know what transpires other than what's told to us by Jacob. There are shots heard, and when Jacob goes back in to check on his wife, he finds her in the bedroom, the master bedroom of the trailer or residence, and she is apparently in the process of dying as a result of a gunshot wound. She does, upon arrival of police and paramedics, she is deceased. Jacob's taken to the hospital and he's treated for his gunshot wounds.
You know, one thing that has stuck with me this whole time, the line at the funeral home was so long. And some people said they waited for 3 hours in line to get into the funeral home. There was a woman who went to school with Mom. And she, you know, most people would hug us and say, you know, I'm so sorry and things like that. This woman just walked in there and she just stood there in front of me and she just said, I don't know what to say. And she walked on. And that struck me more than anything else.
Well, and it was incredible. I mean, there were over 1,000 people that came through those doors. The funeral director said he'd never seen anything like it before. As we were getting ready for the funeral on that Saturday morning, he kept having to put up more chairs and more chairs and more chairs. And there were people actually standing outside the funeral home listening over the speakers just so that they could be there.
I mean, there were 3 walls in the funeral home, floor to ceiling, with flowers.
Somebody said it was like the wallpaper had come to life.
Yeah.
It was just amazing.
She knew everybody because, yeah, you know, it was just her nature. It's like you talk to anybody, any females that knew her down there that were around her age, how many of them all say, she was my best friend?
Yeah. We talked about all the flowers that were at the funeral, at the graveside. You know, everybody's crying and it's a really awful experience, and we're sitting there whispering to each other, looking at these mounds and mounds and mounds of flowers that they had brought up to the cemetery.
What are we going to do with all these flowers?
And we said, you know what, you know, the cemetery there's so many people there that we loved, and our family and friends from the church who are buried there in that cemetery. And we were like, what if we took the flowers around and put them on the other graves? And so we're whispering back and forth to each other, and we're like, okay, we're gonna do this. So when Jeff finished his sermon at the graveside, we're like, you know, we're really glad that you all came and all, but we're going to decorate the cemetery.
So we took the flowers and we were putting them on our grandparents' graves, our great-grandparents' graves, aunts, uncles, and people were coming up and saying, my brother's buried over here, can I put one on his? We had the whole cemetery decorated.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, because there were just so many flowers. It just wasn't fair, you know.
And we thought Mom would have said.
We knew that's what she would have wanted.
These are all for me? No, pass them out.
Yeah, so there were flowers all over the cemetery. they knew that they had to be there. Because probably in one form or another, she'd been there for them. She was like a little kid at heart. She was so funny. Just out of the blue, she would say something that would just make you laugh your butt off. It was just...
And she was the life of the party. And I mean, not that she was a partier, but she loved to entertain. And you know, the day before she was killed, she had put together a huge party for her sister, who was turning 80. And it was like 100 people there. And she just was grinning from ear to ear the whole entire time. She was having such a great time with it.
She was so tickled about keeping the whole thing a secret.
Yeah.
Because it was a surprise. Ariane had no idea until she walked in. So it was funny. She was amazing. She didn't deserve this. Not that anybody deserves this, but just... But I can say one thing. We were talking about how she's tone deaf. I told a friend of mine, I said, I'll bet you now that she's in heaven, she has the most beautiful voice in heaven. Just because she loved to sing so much, you know. So I could just picture that now.
Yeah.
She would probably make me cry singing.
She would. She would. She was such a great person, and it's because of our faith and because of her faith that she poured out on us. We know where she is. We know that we'll see her again. If anything, our relationships have grown stronger as we have supported each other through all of this.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine asked me, she said, aren't you mad at God for what happened to your mom? And I said, no. I said, God's the only thing that got me through this. So that's the only way I can explain it.